Welcome to Avant Technology Insights. I'm your host, Ken Presti, Research Vice President of Avant Research and Analytics. The link between solving business challenges and cutting-edge technologies has become tighter and more complex than ever before. In this podcast series, we delve into how enterprise decision makers can leverage SD-WAN, IT security, unified communications as a service, and a host of other SaaS opportunities towards greater operational efficiencies and higher success. We bring you the foremost experts in their respective fields to help you understand and assess the opportunities at hand. So please buckle up and let's begin. And we're off to a new year as 2020 is now officially underway. Over the holidays, we thought we'd have a little fun, so we asked a bunch of people in the tech industry for their predictions on what we have in store for us in the coming year. UCaaS, security, experience design, AI, and the democratization of data all factored into the responses. Side note to all those who participated, sorry we couldn't fit everybody in, especially those of you with multiple ideas, but thanks a bunch for playing. Okay, getting down to business. Our first contestant is Ben Ferguson. Ben is an executive vice president at Shamrock Consulting, and Ben says microservices are a huge tool to accelerate time to market, and 2020 will be their year.
Microservices are super interesting. AWS and Azure seem to pump out a new microservice like every day. What microservices are really cool for is, let's say you and I are building an application. We could either build all these features from scratch, like if you want, single sign-on, you can use like OAuth as a microservice. It's just speed to delivery. You don't have to build every single component as is, or rely on open source tools that you can find on GitHub for free. There's tried and true microservices on the cloud that you can bolt into your application.
Given how competitive the digital market is, speed to delivery is everything. How about our next contestant? Let's spin that wheel. Our next contestant is Drew Leidecker, the president and co-founder of Avant.
This will be the year that CPaaS completely takes off as companies are trying to get closer to their customers, as they're trying to provide a level of service that, quite frankly, their competitors are not. They're looking for unique ways to get closer and really build a better relationship. CPaaS is head and shoulders one of those tools and technology. I mean, just SMS alone, if you think about SMS, if you look at email open rates, I think it's like 20%. If you look at, voicemails, it's less than that, right? But you're going to probably open up a text message. I know I'm pretty much opening up every single one. And I believe that some statistics out there are about 98%. And so really providing that CPaaS service, which is so much more than just SMS. But I think this will be the year of CPaaS.
Sounds great, Drew. We'll be watching the rate at which CPaaS takes off this year. Time to give the wheel another spin. Natalia Botti, channel manager at CloudGenix. Come on down. What's your pick for 2020?
Democratization of data, which is going to be really big in 2020. It's been around for a few years, but I think we're really seeing it kind of come to fruition. The best use case of that one is Airbnb. And they've actually taken it upon themselves to create a university so that all of their employees, not just the ones isolated in tech, can realize the importance of data, learn how to interpret it, and be able to make better decisions based off of that. What's really cool is that by democratizing not just the data, but all the tools in general, so it's not getting just siloed within a couple folks in the organization, it's getting passed out throughout the organization. It's actually changing the way that a business can run by being able to reduce the amount of spend. Data scientists are extremely pricey. So democratization of data is being able to take the tools and the resources that used to be available to maybe only data scientists or people, that are coding or using SQL or even Python to a degree, and being able to take folks like myself that are kind of lay and give them the same tools that everybody else has to be able to make similar decisions.
Thanks, Natalia. And as we at Avant like to say, data has become the new oil. Up next, Dave Dyson, CEO of Eclipse Telecom. Hey, Dave, how's that PBX doing these days?
My prediction for 2020 is that we'll look back on 2019 and see that was the year where we put the final nail in the coffin of premise-based PBXs. It's not a very bold prediction because it's happening. That's just the thing that's going to go forward. It's the way we're going to be doing things in 2020 and beyond. The bold prediction, the one from a little out of left field, is that one of the major UCaaS providers will be purchased in 2020 by either one of the following: a big carrier, a big cable co, or one of the big cloud or software providers. Think Microsoft or Dell or Google will pick off one of the major UCaaS players.
And with all the mergers and acquisitions going on these days, I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case. Up next, my colleague J.P. Tucker, Director of Product here at Avant.
So one other thing that I like to keep an eye on is just sort of trends in technology and design. And one thing that I think is really taking off now is experience design. That is sort of looking at a product not just from a single offering standpoint, but really as an entire journey that the customer takes. And I think we're already seeing a lot of our service providers do this really well, and I expect that trend to continue. So the players that do this really well are the ones that are thinking about the customer's journey holistically. And those are the ones that you see really laser focused on one or two individual products or solutions that they offer, and they just knock it out of the park, right? And these are the ones that are then rewarded with net promoter scores that are among the most loved brands in the world. And so I do see that as being a major differentiator for some of the brands in our portfolio, and I also see it as being a major differentiator for Avant in 2020 because we are focusing on this. We're going to be doing a ton of stuff with our own technology that really drives user experience, and I'm super excited about that.
Next up is Alex Daniluk, Chief Strategy Officer here at Avant. Alex is predicting a big year for artificial intelligence.
I think artificial intelligence is going to more and more pervade every aspect of technology. Now, people are not going to go and say they're going to buy artificial intelligence itself. It will just be embedded into the various technologies that we use, whether it's call centers, whether it's within your WAN routing, whether it's actually within your inbox. And the reason that that's happening is really, you really go back to Moore's Law. The amount of processing that you can do today in the palm of your hands is just astronomical compared to what you can do 10 years ago. And then in the next decade, it's just going to multiply exponentially. And so now you're able to do, much more within the various aspects of technology. And so you're going to see dynamic intelligence embed everything.
Another predicted area of uptake for 2020 is cloud storage and management platforms, plus the continued momentum of UCaaS. Here's Forrest Newpel, National Partner Manager at Fuse, to tell us what's what.
Sure. So, top of mind, I know that UCaaS adoption is pretty much a no-brainer. I'm in that seat. Contact center as a service as well. We've seen a lot of uptick in the enterprise and frankly, larger enterprise companies starting to adopt it faster and faster. I think that they have discovered that they are going to be able to do more cloud enablement, and UCaaS and CCaaS are a large portion of that. But the big things that I am seeing start to come to the surface as well as a part of conversations has to do with cloud storage and management. The related platforms around that over the last couple decades have to now keep up with new regulations. And since there's a lot of new regulations like GDPR, and now California has their CCPA, which is also likely to gain some popularity in the U.S., companies are now scrambling to kind of figure out how they have to be more efficient and how they clearly identify information as requests are made to make it go away, because people are now starting to be much more nervous about their information sitting out there in the world. And that begins to open up concerns about data integrity and security for how data is both stored and mined most efficiently, which I see that as being a pretty huge opportunity for hyperscalers and frankly, pretty much any IaaS provider to start layering on their additional data management tools.
And last but certainly not least, Avant CEO Ian Kinniger tells us he expects 2020 to be a big year for the trusted advisor movement.
I think this year we'll see the largest year-over-year growth, 50% plus in terms of overall revenue produced by the trusted advisor. A couple of reasons why. There's more of them there ever has been before. They're more sophisticated. They're armed with better marketing. They're armed with better tools. They're armed with better support people and platforms like Avant and what we offer to our trusted advisors. But more importantly, the technology they can represent is bigger and better. So in the past, there's limitations to what they are offering. Traditional wireline services and maybe a little bit of data center. Now that's a starting point. They can go all the way up to UC or UCaaS. They can go to hosted contact center, cloud security, like I mentioned earlier. So there's more to sell. The customers are more primed to buy from smaller trusted advisors because they are laser focused on what they do. I think it's going to be an explosion year. At least we're counting on it, so I'm excited.
I want to take a moment to thank everyone who stepped up to provide their predictions at the start of this decade, and just for fun, we'll take a look at how everyone did when we come to the same point in the cycle next January. Meanwhile, please continue to tune in to Avant Technology Insights during the coming year. We'll be looking at a wide variety of emerging trends and best practices throughout 2020, so please subscribe if you haven't done so already. Here's wishing you and yours an incredible new year. For Avant Research and Analytics, this is Ken Presti. You've been listening to Avant Technology Insights, featuring information and opinions on how key technologies can be leveraged to solve business problems. Avant Technology Insights is a service of Avant Communications, a platform for IT decision-making. All opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the guests and the host. For more information, please feel free to download our research reports and other resources at www.goavant.net. That's www.goavant.net. For Avant Research and Analytics, I'm Ken Presti.